Today we're going to go over chapter 7.3, point slope or slope point form. Recall that the slope of a line can be written in this form. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, where x1 and y1 is a coordinate for first point, and x2 and y2 is a coordinate for the second point. We're going to rearrange this formula to derive point slope form. So let's start off with the slope equation. So y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. So in order for us to get this special form, we do need to get rid of the denominator by multiplying both sides of the equation by x2 minus x1. So you're going to multiply this into the left-hand side and then the right-hand side to remove the denominator. So we get this arrow, m times x2 minus x1 equals y2 minus y1. So point slope or slope point form will be y2 minus y1 equals m times, all in the bracket, x2 minus x1. We can also rewrite this using just regular y instead of y2, like this. And this is same thing. This form can be derived from this as well. So this equation is called slope-intercept form of non-vertical line through the point x1 and y1 with the slope m. So the reason why this equation is called point slope form is because we just need one point and one slope. Let's take a look at example 1. Graph each of the following lines, part A. So what we first need to know is note the form we need to use. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, the reason why I use just regular y and x is because we have regular x and y in there. So what we need to know is that when you rewrite this equation in a form like this, we are going to have, before we go on, notice that this is negative and this is positive. So we do need to do something about that. So y plus or minus -4 is same thing as y plus 4. So we're going to keep it in this form. So x, and then minus is still here, so it's good. So we're going to do -1. So we know that this is y1, and this is x1. Let's rewrite the variables. So we have y1 equal to -4, and x1 equals 1. So now we have a point. So 1 and -4 is our first point. So let's actually graph this first. So this is x-axis and y-axis. X equal to 1, y is -4. So this is a point. We also have slope here given right here. So we know slope is -1 over 2. So let's actually follow. So rise over run. So you go down 1 and 1, 2 to the right. So our point is here, and you continue the pattern. This, and let's connect it. Something like that. So part B, we have a different equation. So we're gonna note again y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So we're going to rewrite this equation into that form. So notice that this time we only have one, like we don't have a value beside y. So we technically have a 0 there. and the slope is 4 over 3, and x minus 5. So this tells us that, oops, y1 equals 0, slope equals 4 over 3, and x1 equals negative 5. So we have a point coordinate, negative 5 and 0. So let's plot that again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here, and y is 0. All right, so we have a slope. So slope is 4 over 3. So we go up 4 and then 3 to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3. We do the same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And we'll connect the points, and we're done. Moving on to example 2. Draw each line using slope point form and determine its equation. So for part A, we're given 2 points. So these 2 points are given to us. So we can start off by plotting these points and connecting those 2 points. So negative 3 and negative 1 right here. This is negative 3 and negative 1. Whereas 2 and negative 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right here. So we have 2 and negative 6. Let's connect these points. And we have this so far. So we have first graphed it, but they're also asking for us to determine the equation in slope point form. So graphing is really straightforward with 2 points. Let's take a look at how to write this as an equation. Okay, so first point I'll say is x1 and y1 here, and x2 and y2 here. So we first need to find the slope because we were given 2 points and it's easy to find it using y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 formula. So you sub in all the values we know. We have y2 equals to negative 6, and then we minus negative 1 all over 2 minus negative 3. So we should get negative 5, or actually, I'll not skip a step. So negative 6 plus 1 all over 2 plus 3. So we get negative 5 on top and 5 on the bottom. We end up with slope equal to negative 1. So now that we have the slope, we can actually go back to our equation. Y minus y1 equal m times x minus x1 form. So let's sub in all the stuff we know. In this case though, you can actually just choose one or the other point and plug it into this. In this case, I use y1 and x1, so we're going to use this first point. So y we don't know, minus y1 is negative 1. Slope we know, slope is negative 1. X is just a variable, and x1 is negative 3. Okay, so let's simplify this. Y plus 1 equals negative x plus 3. Now we have point slope form, or slope point form, and a graph. So that looks good. Let's move on to part B. It's going to be the same step, but we'll do it again. So let's look for slope first. Now I'm going to skip some steps. So y2 is negative 3 minus y1 is 7, and 5 minus 4. This one turns out to be negative 10 over 9. So our slope is negative 10 over 9. Now that we have our equation here, let's sub in all the values we have. So we have y, and minus y1 in this case was 7. equals m is negative 10 over 9, x minus 4. So let's simplify the right-hand side. But make sure you keep the slope separate so you don't expand it, because that's no longer a point slope form. Okay, so only simplify the signs within the bracket, like this. This is it. We just need to graph this. Let's plot these 2 points here. So negative 4 and 7, negative 4, this is negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, this is 7. So this is our first point, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3 right here, and then we're going to connect it. Ooh, okay, there we go. All right, so that's it. All right, so for example 3, we're going to find slope point equation for each of the following lines. Let's try part A first. So what we need to know first is, in order for us to find an equation, we do need either a slope or points. Okay, in this case, we can actually pick 2 points first and calculate the rest. So let's pick a nice point for part A, like let's say 1 and 0. I'm just going to write down the coordinates here, and let's pick another one right here. This is a nice point to use. So 5 and negative 2. Alright, so now that we picked 2 points, we can actually calculate the slope. So first, we need to state that x1 and y1 is 1 and 0, and x2, y2 is 5 and negative 2. Then slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we can use negative 2 minus 0 all over 5 minus 1. So we get negative 2 over 4. We can reduce this into negative 1 over 2. So our slope is negative 1 over 2. Now, we are going to write this equation in slope point form. So we know slope point form is y minus y1 equal to m times x minus x1. So we're going to sub in all the stuff we know. So y minus 0 equals, slope is negative 1 over 2, and x1 is 1. Let's simplify. So y equals negative 1 over 2 times x minus 1. So that's it for part A. Let's try again with part B. So we're going to pick 2 points. I like 0 and 7. Another nice point would be right here, which is negative 2 and 4. Alright, so let's rewrite it. x1, y1 is negative 2 and 4. By the way, the order of this point doesn't matter. You can just reverse, you can just say x2 and y2 equals negative 2 and 4 instead of 0 and 7. But you just need to be really consistent with it. Okay, so once we have those 2 points listed here, we can find the slope. So m equals 7 minus 4 over 0 minus negative 2. So we get 3 over positive 2. So slope is 3 over 2. We have equation y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And so sub in all the values we know. So y1 is 4, m is 3 over 2, x1 is negative 2. So we simplify the bracket. So x plus 2 here. Alright, so this is point slope form. Alright, moving on to example 4. A cylindrical tank contains an unknown amount of water. If water is added to the tank at a rate of 5 liters per minute for 12 minutes, the volume of the water will be 89 liters. So part A tells us to write an equation for the volume of a tank as a function of time, and then draw the graph. So what we first need to know is indicate what we are given. So first of all, we're starting at an unknown amount of water. So let's say that's water, W for water, and then we were given a rate that water is getting added into. So this is a rate. And we are also given time. So for 12 minutes. And then they also told us that this is the volume at the end. Okay, so what we need to do here is write an equation, volume, as a function of time. So volume is a function of time. We are using the function notation, okay? So another way to write it is that volume in terms of time. We can actually say, instead of having two different ways like this, we can just say that V of t is volume in terms of time. Okay? We can say V of t equals, we're starting somewhere, initial value is W, we don't know yet. We don't know what that is, but we're starting somewhere and we're adding at a rate of 5 liters per minute per t for time. So this is a general equation. So what we need to know here is that this is unknown amount of water. And 5 is a rate the water fills in, and then t for time. So the volume changes depending on the time. So now that we have a general equation, we can actually fill in or sub in all the values we have. So we have V of t. So this volume, 89 liters, this is when the volume at time 12 minutes. So V of 12, which in this case there is given 89 liters, equals W plus 5 times T's 12, just like that. So we know that W plus 60 equals 89. So you take away 60 from both sides of the equation, and then you get W equals to 29. So it says unknown amount of water, but we know that we actually started with 29 liters. So the tank contained 29 liters of water in the beginning. So now let's try graphing this. So the independent variable will be the time in minute, and dependent variable is volume, because we're looking at volume in terms of time in liters. So let's label the indices. So every increment is 5, and so I go up by 5, 40, 50, and 60, and so on. I think I do have to go up to 90 at least. Let's do that. Yeah. And then we will set time every 5 minutes here. So each increment's 1 minute. I'll stop right here. Okay, so when we are to graph, we're starting at 29 liters at time 0. So this is the, right here, this is the point where the volume starts at time equal to 0. So initial condition, and then let's see, at 12 minutes, which is here, we have 89 liters. So 12 all the way up, and 89's right here. Okay, so we can connect those 2 points. And the arrow is only on one side. Finalize our equation. So volume in terms of time equals 5t plus W was 29. So this is the equation. All right, moving on to next part, and there seems to be a typo here. It's part B. And what is the volume of water in a tank after 17 minutes? So they want us to find the volume of water, and time is 17. Okay, so we are given the original equation here from previous section. So 5t plus 29. All we have to do is sub it in. So this is t. T equals 17, and this is volume. So V of t equals 17 equals 5 times t equals 17, and then we bring down the rest. All right, so this one, 17 times 5 is 85, plus 29 equals 114. So we have to answer this in word or sentence form. So volume of water is 114 liters after 17 minutes. For part C, they're asking for how long can the tank be filled before it overflows when the maximum volume of tank is 134 liters. So how long can the tank be filled? All right, so this time we start with the exact same equation, the general equation, just like that. And we're going to fill in or sub in the values that we have. So this 134 liter is the volume. We don't know the time, but we know the volume. So all we have to do is sub into the left-hand side right here. At some point, the volume is going to reach 134. And so 5t plus 20. Now we're going to isolate t so we can solve. Isolate t. So let's take away 29 from both sides. So we have 5t on one side here, and then this one is 105. All right, and then we're going to divide the coefficient here to get rid of it. And we have t on one side and 21 on the other side. So we can conclude that it takes 21 minutes for the tank to be filled. That's it for today. I'll see you guys in the next video.